Welcome to Boxing Scene's Top Stories, only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George DeMatteis. Quick reminder to download the ProBox TV app to get the full ProBox experience and get the best in terms of the world of the sweet science. Well, WBA Cruiserweight champion Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez has designs on moving up from Cruiserweight to heavyweight as he prepares for his unification bout against WBO champion Chris Billam-Smith on November 16th in Saudi Arabia. Ramirez told BoxingScene.com there must be a best performance in Saudi Arabia right now on November 16th. And then probably 2 years, 3 years, I can move up in weight and be a heavyweight. To talk about this, we are joined by our champions who are at the ProBox TV Event Center ahead of Wednesday night fights, Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie, let me ask you this about Zurdo Ramirez now. We know that Usyk, 37, Fury, 36 years of age. Anthony Joshua just celebrated his 35th birthday. By the time Zurdo is ready to move up to heavyweight, how much of a threat is he for a belt, assuming he beats Chris Billam-Smith on November 16th?
Yeah, you know, traditionally it has been difficult for cruiserweights to have success in the heavyweight division. You've seen a few that have had a lot of success, but overall, you know, you're dealing with, you know, naturally bigger size heavyweights, especially in this generation where they're so huge, you know. So it traditionally is not easy, but, you know, you're in a generation where the undisputed cruiserweight champion just won the undisputed heavyweight title. So you're at a time in boxing history where this still does happen and you still have confidence to do it. But more so, it's what you just said, G. You know, the thing is, a lot of this current crop of heavyweights in 2 or 3 years, which is when Zurdo has the timeline in his head to move up to the heavyweight division, it could be a lot of changing of the guards going on, a lot of different changes, a lot of different things going on in the heavyweight division. So, you know, there could be openings for him. Listen, I do think there are some heavyweights coming up the line that are very difficult, but you know what? You can't say that a guy like Zurdo, who's got natural size, what, about 6'3", 6'4", right?
Yeah.
He's a big guy. He can fill in 2 or 3 years. You could probably do something in the heavyweight division. Whether he wins a title or not, it would remain to be seen. But it would be interesting. It would be followed, especially if he's able to have some more success in the cruiserweight division.
Chris, what do you make?
My initial thought was, hey man, don't put the cart before the horse. You got a big fight in front of you, a tough guy. Chris Billam-Smith is a very good fighter, and it's no foregone conclusion. But he said, I need to perform that night when he does actually fight Billam-Smith. Also, he said in 2 or 3 years. So he understands about growing into the weight class. I believe this is his 3rd weight class. He was 68, 75. Now he's a cruiser. So he is moving up the right way. And he's big, like you said, champ. He's a big guy. He's tall. He gets very heavy in between fights. Always has. One of the reasons why he moved up all those weight classes. I think he carries the weight well. He's also a southpaw who's very busy. So stylistically, he could definitely give trouble to a lot of these heavyweights. But what always concerns me about cruiserweights moving up in the modern era, we are now dealing with super heavyweights. These guys are so big, so athletic. You got guys who are pushing 250, 260 that have bigger bones. They're 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and athletic as well. So I think we're going to see less and less of cruiserweights moving up to heavyweight because of that.
At the same time, Usyk just won the heavyweight title, right?
He's a special guy, generational guy.
I'll tell you what, I don't like the rush these guys have. I know he's saying 2 or 3 years, so it's not really a rush. But the fact that he's already announcing it, you got a guy like Jai Opetaia in your weight class. Yeah. You know, you should be talking about that. You know, possibly taking on the best in your weight class. You know, this cruiserweight division is pretty hot right now. It's been much better in recent years than it has been traditionally, where it was just a pit stop for the heavyweight division. I don't like that these guys still
well, it's a real weight class now. You got talented guys. You mentioned Jai Opetaia. Chris Billam-Smith, his opponent's very good. He's just moved into this weight class. But you got to think, though, I got to think he's thinking historically. How many Mexican heavyweight champions have there been?
None.
Well,
Andy Ruiz.
Andy Ruiz. There's been one. Yeah. So being number 2 is a big deal. So historically, that could be where him and his team are looking. But I agree with you, champ. I think cruiserweight right now is actually a hot division. There's no need to jump over it. You can do a lot of work historically here now and make a name for yourself.
Maybe that's why he's saying 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Well, we'll see how he gets through those 2 or 3 years, because in a difficult division, success is not guaranteed.
So is it better for him to essentially kind of maybe get to the point where you're undisputed at cruiserweight and then get to heavyweight, or if he beats Chris Billam-Smith there and say, okay, well, 2 or 3 more years, I got this, I got cruiserweight figured out there. Use that Billam-Smith as a jumping point to get to heavyweight. So is it better for him to go undisputed at cruiser and then heavyweight, or just win this fight and then kind of start to prepare for heavyweight? What do you think, Paulie?
Well, I mean, if you want to go the Evander Holyfield, Alexander Usyk route, then yeah, of course that's the way you want to do it. But that's not necessary. He does, he could lose this next fight. He could still be good at heavyweight someday because of the talent that's in the division right now.
I also don't like that he didn't mention Opatai. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He's just mentioning heavyweights. Like, he's just you're telling us your plan, but you're not using the cruiserweight division as your plan. You're just saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to be here 2-3 years. Dude, if you're going to be in the cruiserweight division 2-3 years and you're not mentioning Opatai, who also is looking to move the heavyweight division, you're going to be in the cruiserweight division 2-3 years, you got to go see that guy. And so you should be mentioning him. You should be pumping up big fights for yourself in the cruiserweight division if you really do plan on staying there 2-3 years. That's the only thing that I didn't like about this whole announcement in the heavyweight division. I'd like to see, you mentioned about going undisputed. It's not necessarily about going undisputed, but you've got to have some success. David Haye didn't go undisputed in the cruiserweight division, but he did. I believe he unified. I believe he fought some good champions there, and then he had success in the heavyweight division. But so I don't think that the undisputed title is a must for sure, but it's something to pinpoint if you're going to stay there 2-3 years.
Yeah, Jai Opetaia, the IBF cruiserweight champion, and many people feel he's the best cruiserweight in the division there. So let me ask you guys this. Who's the best cruiserweight? Is it Zurdo? Is it Billam-Smith? Is it Jai Opetaia? Paulie, who's the best in this division in 200?
You just said it yourself, G. It's Jai Opetaia.
All right. Chris, who do you think is the best cruiserweight in this division right now?
I mean, he's probably my favorite. I think the most talented of the group. But I got to see these guys fight each other because listen, you can't look past Chris Billam-Smith. You can't. Zurdo. I actually really like what I see from him at cruiserweight, much more so than he was at light heavyweight. I think he's much better served for cruiserweight. But I'm with you, champ. I really like what I see from Jai Opetaia. But I got to see these guys fight each other, man.
Yeah, it should be fascinating to see what will happen there. You figure the winner of this fight between Chris Billam-Smith and Zurdo Ramirez could set up another another title fight with Jai Opetaia, who has the IBF belts. We'll see what happens. Cruiserweight, very interesting division. And we'd like to remind you that any developments at Cruiserweight, you can always catch it here on Top Stories. We'd like to remind you that great fights coming up, including this weekend, a big one. Amazon Prime Video, Tim Tszyu will be fighting for a belt against Bakram Murtazaliev. You can see it October 19th. Prime Video should be a good one. We'll see how Tim Tszyu responds after that gruesome fight against Sebastian Fundora when he lost 2 belts in that fight. And then Wednesday Night Fights is back tomorrow here on ProBox TV. You definitely don't want to miss it. The best live fight series in all of boxing. I am George DeMatteis, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
Wednesday Night Fights.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, October 16th, Chris, Primetime Colbert, and Omar Super Salcido step into the ring for what is sure to be a barn burner. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at ProBoxTV.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
Boxing superstar Tim Tszyu is coming to Prime Video. Don't miss this championship showdown as Tszyu takes on undefeated Murtazaliev for the Super Welterweight World Title. Saturday, October 19th, streaming live exclusively on Prime Video for all Prime members.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.